Hey, good morning, sports bettors. It is NFL Sunday. It is Matt Modi coming to you from OddsJam. And what we're going to be doing is locking in some last-minute player props for NFL Week 6 today. So I won't dilly-dally. I'll get right into it because these games start soon. The very first bet that I love, that I want to lock in for today's betting slate, Josh Allen to go over 49.5 rushing yards plus 104 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Insanely valuable play. So first things first, I'm going to put a unit on this one. I'm going to put $100 on Josh Allen to record 50 plus rushing yards. So that bet has been locked in. Let me add it to my bet tracker and let's talk about this one briefly. First of all, the math backing up this play is absolutely insane. So the no vig line, which you see here, is calculated from OddsJam, back testing thousands of betting opportunities to determine what sportsbooks are the sharpest at pricing odds. Once that determination has been made, they remove the VIG from all those different sharp sportsbooks using a weighted average, giving more weight to the sharper sportsbooks, less weight to the less sharp ones. That part makes sense. Removing the VIG, calculating this no VIG line to be minus 109, essentially. And FanDuel is offering it all the way up at plus 104. Just insane value getting this Josh Allen play to go over 49.5 rushing yards. All in all, equates to a profit margin of about 6.5%. This can also be viewed as your percent edge, your positive expected value percentage. It also can be viewed as your expected profit. So in this case, I bet $100 on this one, right? I put a full unit. My expected profit on this bet can be about $6.50, which doesn't sound like a lot. It actually is one of the bigger numbers in terms of the positive EV percent plays we can get, but a couple of things to keep in mind. This $6.50, it's just one bet that will be realized today. So normally if you're depending on the type of investment, the stock market, housing market, even more, you're not making this type of return in a given day. And I will literally go to bed tonight with this profit realized. Of course, for one thing to keep in mind, I understand the rebuttal. Well, you're either going to win the bet or you're going to lose the bet. How are you going to make $6.50? It's a good question. That part is true. If the bet wins, I'll get the 104 in profit. If the bet loses, I will lose my 100 risk. But the way it works in the long term, your expected profit starts to equal your actual profit. Now you need to give it some time. You need to give it 250, 500, 1,000 bets, something like that. But over time, you will notice that your actual profit will equal your expected profit if you calculate it. So this one's great. I also love it for handicapping purposes. I love using the OddsJam props player prop app to look at historical data to see just where how these players look in terms of the player props that we're betting. So Josh Allen rushing yards, we're looking at him to go over 50 plus. He's hit this in 3 of 5 games so far. With that said, what you will notice is in the important games in which the games are kind of close, Josh Allen runs more. Week 1, if you remember, it was tied at halftime. Josh Allen ran more. Week 2, they blew out the Tennessee Titans. That game was never close. Didn't have to run as much. Weeks 3 and 4, games against the Dolphins and Ravens, close games throughout the entire time. Josh Allen had to use his legs more. Last week against the Steelers, they were up 34-3 at halftime. The game was basically over. In this game, look who the Bills play, the Chiefs. Guess who knocked the Bills out of the playoffs the last 2 years? The Chiefs. I can assure you, Josh Allen is going to come Terminator mode in this game, and he is going to be running a ton if this game is remotely close, which I don't think it's going to be a total blowout either way. So Josh Allen to record 50 rushing yards, I absolutely love. I think it's a great play. So I put, like I mentioned, a full unit on this one. So for those of you at home, I recommend unit sizing this one with a full unit as well. And this is my first play. Josh Allen over 49.5 rushing yards. So let me go ahead and refresh the positive EV page, make sure that I'm getting the most up-to-date lines. And this next play right here is another one that I like. George Pickens over 4.5 receptions plus 126 on FanDuel. So let me go to FanDuel first and lock this one in, and then we can talk about the math. So I need to go to the Steelers game. Perfect. It's right up here for me. And we are looking at George Pickens to go over 4.5 receptions. This one, I'm just going to put 3/4 of a unit. I'm just going to round this one down to 75. The OddsJam page is telling me to put about 80 on it, which is just based on my bankroll. I'll round this down to 75, put 3/4 of a unit, $75. But let's chat about this one. So the no vig line, the first thing you want to look at, what does the math say about this play? Price is this at plus 117. FanDuel is giving it to you at plus 126. Another thing that I like to look at that I actually forgot to mention in the Josh Allen one, if you click open a play, it will pull up what every sportsbook is pricing it. So you can kind of get an idea of the betting landscape when you click into a play. And we can see plus 126 on FanDuel. Look at every other book and what they price it. So you can ignore Underdog because they have the same implied odds for everything. But BetFred plus 100, PointsBet 110, DraftKings plus 100. And then two of the sharpest sportsbooks in the world that have the most weight. BetOnline plus 107, Pinnacle plus 104. Every other book is pricing this at a minimum 16 cents lower than what FanDuel is giving it to you at plus 126. Another pretty awesome value play, 4% positive expected value on this one. So basically the $75, my expected profit on this one is $3. So I just made, actually the EV percent upped on this one to 7.3. So I've actually made about $10 just on these two individual bets. Now the George Pickens one, for handicapping purposes, if you're looking at the OddsJam props app, is going to be a little more, it's going to be a little more risky because if you look at his historical data, he's only hit this in 2 of 5 games, but look at the last 2. He's hit it, right? 6 receptions in each. What is unique to the last 2 games that wasn't unique to the first 3? Quarterback Kenny Pickett is now the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. He has developed chemistry with George Pickens leading all the way back to the preseason. So while 5 receptions is a lot, is scary for a Steelers offense that has been struggling, Pickens has been Kenny Pickett and Pickens, it's kind of confusing, his favorite target. So he's had 6 the past 2 weeks. He only needs 5 to hit this player prop, which I absolutely love. I think it's a great one. So second play, George Pickens over 4.5 receptions. Put 3/4 of a unit on it, plus 126 at FanDuel. So let me go ahead and refresh this one. And we'll just keep going down the line. There was 4 that I really liked. We'll see if the odds change on this one, if they're no longer available. So the second one, actually, I'll look into this Kamara one. But the third one that I wanted to lock in was Tyreek Hill over 5.5 receptions, plus 110 on BetFred. This is a play I'm going to put a unit on as well. I'm going to put $100. So let me place this bet. And we're good. So Tyreek Hill over 5.5 receptions, plus 110 on BetFred. So the math, of course, I'll always start off with that. Price is this at plus 102. BetFred giving it to you at plus 110. The gap between these two numbers gives you your positive expected value. In this case, EV percent of about 3.79. So all in all together, I had already had $10 in expected profit. Now I have about just under $14 in expected profit just on these 3 plays. I would imagine, let me add this to my best tracker before I forget, but I would imagine those of you at home who are watching this video are probably placing more than 3 bets a day. So just add up your expected profit over the course of a day, and you start to realize just how profitable positive expected value betting could be over the course of time. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes you might get lucky and hit a positive EV parlay. That's the outlier. That's not the norm. The norm is consistent profiting over the course of time. So this one, Tyreek Hill, I mentioned. And again, look at where all the other books price it. Plus 110 on BetFred. No book is even offering this at even money. So if you remove the VIG from all of these sharp books, giving it to you at plus 102. So that is a pretty nice gap between these two numbers, plus 102 versus plus 110. To look at the OddsJam props app for this one as well. Obviously, the huge risk here is who's going to be quarterback for the Dolphins. It's going to be Skylar Thompson, 7th round rookie. So you kind of have to take these numbers a little bit with a grain of salt because these were mostly with Tua or Teddy Bridgewater. But Skylar Thompson played pretty much the entire game last game. Tyreek Hill had 7 receptions. Same quarterback. So the defense they're going against, the Vikings defense is bad against the pass. You also figure the Vikings are going to be scoring, so the Dolphins are going to be passing a lot. And they give Hill a ton of easy completions. And for a young quarterback, that's exactly what you need to do. Give him a slant, give him a wide receiver screen, something easy to get Hill the ball in his hands, which counts as receptions. So another one that I think is a really, really good play. I locked it in for a unit, so that's the third play that I'm locking in. So I'll go ahead and lock in one more before I skedaddle on out of here. And the play that I liked, okay, so the one that I wanted to look at ended up the odds changing, no longer plus EV. But the last one I wanted to look at was Jimmy Garoppolo under 20.5 completions, minus 110 at Tipico. Now, this should be, let me look at it again, should be another play that is a full unit. I can assure you Tipico won't let me get a full unit on it. It won't even let me get half a unit on it. So if I try to place this bet for 50, it will say, sorry, your limit has been exceeded. Normally, the most they let me get on a play is $10. So we'll see if they even let me get 10 in this case, which they do. So for those of you at home, a unit sizing, this should be worth a full unit. I can only get $10 on it. But the logic of the play is, first off, the math. Always you want to look at the math. No vig line prices this at minus 118. Tipico giving it to you at minus 110. So let me, again, add this measly $10 to my bet tracker. But an EV percent of this one of about 3.5%. So if you add everything together, I think the EV, the total expected profit from all of these 4 plays is about $17, just above, about $17, we'll just call it. In the logic here, I mean, look where all the books price it. DraftKings has it all the way at minus 145. Pinnacle has it at minus 129. Tipico at minus 110. The closest book is PointsBet at minus 120. The closest books after that is Pinnacle at minus 129. All of these books significantly pricing this play as more favorable to occur than the reflected odds of the minus 110 on Tipico. So again, the OddsJam props app, if we want to look at Jimmy G, we want to look at his completions. So he hasn't hit this yet. He's literally not hit this yet. In the game that the 49ers are playing, right, they're playing the Falcons, who have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, specifically run defenses. So the 49ers love to run the ball. They love to get the ball out of Jimmy G's hands. So this is going to be a huge Jeff Wilson game, huge Tevin Coleman game. Doesn't lead to a lot of completions for Jimmy G. So I think this one is a great play at minus 110 odds. I locked it in. Should have been a unit. Could only get $10. But this is my 4th and final positive expected value player prop for today. And that's going to be it. So I appreciate you guys watching. I recommend tailing these at home, of course. If you do, let me know. Would love to hear it. But watch this video, lock these bets in, enjoy the NFL day today, and have a good one.